After graduating first in her law class at the University of Virginia, Shannon had her pick of firms throughout the country, but firm work never really interested her. Shannon had resolved at an early age to serve those who couldn't afford the best, so she headed home to Manhattan, ready to take on the world as a public defense attorney. 2 years later, we had a bit of an echo, but that sometimes happens. But also 2 years later, Shannon didn't feel much like taking on the world anymore. Cumbersome caseloads, uncooperative clients. You still can't hear me? How's that? All right, we'll try that again. You got the part about Shannon, yeah? Okay. So she wasn't so happy after 2 years. She wasn't ready to take on the world anymore because public counsel life isn't so easy. You've got a lot of cases. You don't have the resources to fight them. And there's a lot of pressure to process as many cases as possible in as little time as possible. And so Shannon was left feeling adrift, perhaps even disillusioned. She began to think longingly of those offers she had dismissed just 2 years earlier. She started thinking about classmates serving as first chairs on publicized class action and malpractice lawsuits, and she started wondering, what am I doing? Now, Shannon's story is by no means new. The fabled clash between unbridled optimism and realism is as old as history itself. From the Bible to Voltaire to Dickens, we've always been preoccupied by the very human question of what to do when reality fails to meet our great expectations, and the goals we once seemed so certain we would achieve suddenly appear unattainable. Our Parsha this week, Re'eh, acknowledges this rather disheartening reality, but in a sort of stunningly understated fashion. After the Israelites are instructed to absolve the debts of their people every 7 years, the Torah makes a very lofty promise. It says, "There shall never be needy among you, since God will bless you in the land God is giving you, as long as you follow God's teachings." Sounds great. But 7 verses later, just 7, the Torah offers a dramatically gloomier outlook. There will never cease to be needy in your land, which is why I'm commanding you. You will certainly open your hand to your poor and your needy brethren in your land. Realism arrives awfully quickly for the Israelites. And God barely finishes promising an ideal world where no one is in need before making a complete 180. And we don't even get to the next paragraph before reality sinks in. I sit there, and I was reading it, and I said, I wonder how this would go over today. Like, I wonder if Moses was our contractor, what would that conversation look like? And Moses might be, hi, it's Moses here again. Just a quick question for you. Remember that world of plenty I showed you like 30 seconds ago in the stills? Yeah, the world where no one would ever need anything. Yeah, the one that went with the fireplace in the living room. That's it. That's the one. Yeah, just so you know that you're never actually getting that, right? Like, you know that was not really part of the deal. Right, guys? Oh, no. It's going to be the same cost. It's not like it changes the cost of anything. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right, thanks. Take care. Now I know that we've all had wonderful conversations with contractors and the like, and that none of us would ever react to a conversation with a contractor who failed to deliver on a promised deliverable and still keep the same price with anything but patience, right? Maybe not. But unlike us, the Torah has no qualms accepting the new reality it concedes. There's no consolation or mourning for the world it just ripped from our imagination, nor an apology for placing that world of plenty in our collective imagination in the first place. It just goes right on with the consequence of this very realistic world that it's describing. You will certainly open your hand to your poor and the needy brethren in your land. What do we do when reality fails to meet our great expectations? How do we proceed when the goals we once seemed so certain we would accomplish suddenly appear unattainable? Well, as far as the Torah is concerned, we just keep on keeping on. Now, I don't think the Torah necessarily means for us to take this as inspiration toward intransigence. After all, there's nothing wrong with carving out a career at the firm. That's precisely where some people are supposed to be. That's precisely where they'll give their greatest contributions to the world. And maybe that's even precisely where Shannon should be. Only Shannon knows for sure. Instead, we might think of this rather stubborn insistence on the part of the Torah as a warning, not to let disappointment dissuade us from our deepest obligations. As our sages taught, we need not complete the task, but neither are we free to desist from it. No one here is going to solve the sorry state of public counsel in America, but that doesn't release us from the obligation to try. No one here is going to make college campuses the most beautiful haven for Jewish life across America, but that hasn't stopped people from trying. No one here is going to make sure that every person, regardless of disability, enjoys an equal life, but that hasn't stopped people from trying. In fact, there are lots of things we're never going to solve, but that doesn't release us from the obligation to try. And no, we can't commit to everything, clearly. But that also doesn't give us an excuse to wash our hands of the whole matter either. Despite every blessing God may confer upon us, our responsibility to others will never be exhausted. Someone will always need someone else. It's what it means to be human. But we can accept that our responsibility to others will never be exhausted and show up anyway. That's what it means to be Jewish. Shabbat shalom.